We will go ahead and call the Becker City Council meeting for February 18th to order. If you'll rise and for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, has the council had a chance to look over meeting minutes from February 4th? If so, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second it.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Any additional items for this evening's agenda? Not hearing any, would somebody like to make a motion to approve tonight's printed agenda?
Make a motion to approve agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion from Mike, second from Troy. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Guests in open forum. We're going to start with guests in open forum this evening with Becker's Police Chief Brent, who's just going to give us a recap of today's events.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Just want to take the opportunity just to kind of let you know and let the public know kind of where we've been here today. So what we've done, or what I've done, is I've put out multiple media releases throughout the day to keep people informed. To some people, that's not real timely, but we don't want to manufacture information either, so we want to make sure when we're putting out information, it's done in as best a timely manner as we can, but it's also factual, because that can spread all kinds of misinformation out there and that sort of thing. So the other part of that is it's an incident that I'm not completely involved in, but the fire department is. So I can't just pull firefighters off of the scene real easily just to kind of find out what's going on. So we're often at their mercy and work the best we can with them and support people and that sort of thing. But just to go over some of the details, at approximately 2:25 this morning, a passerby did notice a fire that was brewing in the vehicle pile that's located at Northern Metals. Once they saw that, they did call in. We did have an officer off duty on scene working security there as well. So it was also called in by that officer at nearly the same time. So once it was called in, fire did respond, so I believe it was Becker and Clear Lake, and I think Big Lake arrived shortly thereafter. That were the initial responding fire departments. They did find the fire obviously within the pile there and attempted to put it out. Throughout the day, what's happened is several things. One, it's continued to kind of move through the pile. As many people know, that vehicle pile is rather large, and it's grown just in anticipation of them opening their business and kind of working through scrapping all of that. So it has grown large, but aside from that, fire departments, they did request mutual aid from other departments, Sauk Rapids, Foley, Monticello, I just saw Rogers pulling up. So other departments have, and I'm probably missing some, but have come to help, and obviously we're thankful that they're able to come and help. In addition, the state of Minnesota Office of the State Fire Marshal and St. Cloud Hazardous Response Team did respond. That was due to the concerns we had of the cloud, of the smoke that's coming off of the debris pile there and kind of wafting towards Monticello, Big Lake, and elsewhere. I think there was some concern at some point that this was going into the city of Becker. It was not, and it never did. Not to say that we might have smelled some of that, however, there was never a concern for the city of Becker, if you will, because of the smoke coming into the city. It was going elsewhere. Now, obvious concern for the other communities, yes, but it's drifting downwind and dissipating somewhat as it gets there. With that in mind, that's why the state and St. Cloud Fire were called to assist with some air quality testing. That was completed along with Sherburne County Emergency Management. They did respond to assist as well, which was great. So they did some testing and virtually kind of determined at that point that what we really have here is a car fire. Let's be honest, it's a big car fire. And so the concern for particulates and stuff like that is the same concern you'd have for just about any other fire. So at that point, we determined that there was really no real concern for public safety, other than the fact that we decided we'd rather put out an advisory to the public and alert everybody that air quality is of concern. So those that may have respiratory issues should take the warning. You know, if you're in an area where maybe the smoke could be accumulating from the scene, you probably don't want to be there. But aside from that, it was determined with personnel that were on scene that it wasn't really a large public safety concern. So as of now, I can tell you this, crews are continuing to fight the fire. They're already setting up a schedule for tonight and into tomorrow. It looks like it's going to probably go for some time. The fire has kind of moved. It doesn't necessarily mean it's spreading, but it has moved to another part of this pile. So they're still working on that, I guess. And so they are scheduling just for rotation of firefighters, like a midnight or a 6 to midnight, midnight to 6, just to get them some time away, get some sleep. I will say this, Northern Metals has been outstanding to work with. We know this is an accident. This was not planned. There's no indication to think that this was a planned event on their part or somebody showing up to try and do this to sabotage or anything like that. So it's unfortunate, obviously. I know that they're talking with their chief operating officer. He's very excited about the planned opening. And obviously this could set them back a little bit. So with that, I just wanted to make sure you had an update on the events here today. So they will be continuing to work out there through tonight. We have police officers also on scene. One thing I would ask is for our public not to be driving out there. They're getting in the way. We have too many gawkers that are driving up and down the new roadway there that feel they need to get pictures and stand outside their car in the middle of the roads and stuff like that. So we are closing off the roadway currently to allow the fire trucks to go back and forth between Exel where they're grabbing water right now. So to ensure that they are able to do that, that is why we are closing off the roads. So at the request of the police department, we're asking people just to stay away if they can for now until they allow the firefighters to fight the fire. I don't know if there's any other concerns or comments at this time, but again, I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of where we're at this point.
Thank you, Bree.
Very good.
Thank you, Brent. Jeanette, are you ready, or do you need just a... All right. So the Great River Regional Library is also presenting their annual report, so we welcome Jeanette Burkhart. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council for letting me take a few minutes of your time tonight. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. I presented this or gave this to Julie, so it should have been in your board packet. I'm just going to briefly skim over it. There are a couple things that I wanted to just highlight, though. So this report is for January of 2019 through December of 2019 for the Becker Public Library. Winter reading program theme was Get Ready to Read. Summer reading program theme was It's Showtime at the Library. I do have to make a correction on the summer reading program numbers. I somehow included 2018s and not 2019s. Unfortunately, there was a huge and significant decrease in the number of students that participated in the summer reading program last year. And that is despite staff's efforts to attend ECFE classes and the first, second, and third graders classes to talk to them about the summer reading program. So in the end, babies and toddlers, we only had 12 that signed up. Ages 3 through 6th grade, so that's 11 or 12-year-olds, we only had 194 sign up, and teens, we had 32 sign up. I wish I had an answer for why there's such a huge, significant drop in that middle age group, but at the moment I just don't. I don't know if it was the theme, I don't know if it was programs that we were offering, or if it's just that's what it was last summer. A couple of changes this year. So the library has upgraded from the old fluorescent lights to the LED lights, which has been really nice. Even though we have all those wonderful windows and we have lots of natural light, it is much brighter in there. Read Down Your Fines, you've heard me talk about a couple of times over the last couple of years. Has always been geared towards kids being able to come into the library, read for 15 minutes, and have $1 waived off of their fines. It is now morphed into Read Down Your Fines for all, so that includes all age groups. You can, adult, teens, students, can all come in for 15 minutes, read down your fine for $1 to come off your total. That does exempt or does exclude lost items costs and damaged item costs. Those cannot be read down. So for 2019, we waived $108.95. Last year, you might remember, in September, we had 1 week where we waived all fines. If you came in with your library card and you had fines, we waived them. We've taken it one step further, and as of June 3rd of 2019, anything that's cataloged as a juvenile item, so kids' DVDs, picture books, early reader books, juvenile fiction, chapter books, nonfiction, and teen items now no longer incur fines after the 3-week checkout period. It may show up on their account like it's incurring fines, but when that item is checked in, it falls off. That does, however, exclude anything that's lost or damaged. You can see total circulation, just under 57,000 items for last year. We're still maintaining about 6 items per checkout session. Becker still is maintaining to be one of those libraries out of the handful where we increase the number of borrowers every year. So we had 98 new borrowers over 2018. Self-check is still very popular, especially with the little ones. So 65% of the checkouts are being done at the self-check machine. I included some pictures of some of the events that we had and programs that we had over the year. Some of them are programs that the staff put on. Some of them are programs that we had legacy funds to spend that we brought into the library. One other new program that I just wanted to mention, the library now has Print to Go, and that allows people from home to wirelessly send a document to the library to be printed and picked up at the library. You can also do that in the library from your phone or from your laptop. It's still 10 cents a page for black and white, 50 cents a page for color. The new March through May event guides are available, so stop in the library and grab your event guide or go to griver.org and click on events to see what's happening, not only in Becker but throughout the region. And then I just wanted to let you know that March is the annual fundraising month for the library. Locally Grown will take place in March again this year, where last year it took place in April. And just wanted to invite you to come over and make your donations. Donations are tax deductible. Everything that we raise here in Becker stays in Becker. We're looking at a $500 goal this year to bring in a couple of art programs. So, any questions?
What will your summer reading program be for 2020?
2020 is Dig Deeper, so read, explore, investigate. I'll give you a little hint that Brett and I are working on a program for the teens in collaboration with the police department and the library. So I'm really excited about it. I don't know how he feels, but it should be a good time.
That's good.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else for open forum? Yes, an open forum. Yep. Go ahead, Christine.
Hello, I'm Christine Pohl from the City of Becker. Hello, council members. I just want to give God glory for protecting the City of Becker from the fire fumes. He's got a protection around us, and I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Anyone else? All right, moving on to committee reports. Special Planning Commission meeting to interview candidates.
Yeah, I can actually take the first two here. So Planning Commission had a special meeting to interview the 2 candidates that we had, and we did have the recommendation was in our consent agenda for tonight. EDA, we met last Monday. More of an update meeting again. We talked a little bit about we had a monthly market update. That's where we kind of get an update on sales activity, both residential and commercial in the area. Talked a little bit about the Highway 10 corridor plan. That's something that's a standing agenda item every month. Talked about the comprehensive plan update that we voted to start here a couple months ago. So that's going to be just kicking off here. There's going to be EDA council interviews coming up later this month, and then we talked a little bit about the Sherburne County housing study that's underway as well. So, and kind of what does that mean to us, and kind of how we'll be able to utilize that afterwards for when developers are looking to come in and they're looking at, you know, whether they should build an apartment. Is there a need for, say, you know, single-family homes versus, you know, other types of housing or something? That this would help them to determine that. So this will be valuable. This is a county initiative, but obviously we're in the county, so we'll be a part of that. So just had an update on that as well.
Thanks, Rick. Public Works, we discussed Recycle Day, which is May 16th. It'll be from 9 to 1. More details will come once it gets a little bit closer. Yard waste with the commercial use. The Sherburne County had been noticing heavily used compost sites at 2 different locations, and they were asking the whole county how they should go about it, if they should increase the permit for commercial users to use or shut the whole site down to commercial users. Our conversation just alluded that whatever is decided as a county, we will follow. We wouldn't
Actually, the
go
county
from
was looking for
different.
the cities to come up with it.
Yeah. 2 different cities had a bigger issue, so we were going to
Princeton
allow.
and Elk River were.
So they would shut it down for everybody or just
No,
those two?
They
no,
don't know yet.
they haven't made a decision.
They haven't made a decision. We
what they're
just
gonna do,
gave
but they-
guidance to follow along, not to.
County wants us all to do the same thing, whatever it is.
Well 7 is moving along, and then the industrial manhole realigning project is also in our packet for this evening, and that was a great discussion. So that was it for Public Works. How about personnel?
Personnel, we talked about a couple things that the League of Minnesota Cities is just kind of changing their policy. So we just kind of revisited that and the verbiage in that. And then everything it's in the consent agenda. So we're going to talk about the seasonal maintenance job description and how they'll actually have a job description, levels, and that's about it.
Any other committee reports? All right, with none, board, committee, and consultant reports, GPS units for Pebble Creek golf carts.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight in front of you, we have the topic of GPS units for Pebble Creek's golf carts. As you recall, we're getting a new fleet of golf carts for the 2020 season, and throughout that process, we were entertaining different GPS options that mount on each of the carts that provide vital information of proximity to the hole, to the patrons that play. We do have a current existing system that's a little outdated. It just provides basic yardages to different locations. There's a lot more technologies that I'll kind of go through that have advanced over the years through different providers. So we, throughout that process of vetting out the golf cars, the companies do have some recommended systems that would be in excess of $30,000 a year for these really high-tech, advanced GPS systems. We feel that would have been a little cost prohibitive for what we're trying to accomplish at this point, and we were fortunate to find through our current provider, they've upgraded a nice value unit that provides the full hole imagery and color for our patrons. So I'll talk about the technology, but don't want to underscore that the perception and the experience of the golfers is greatly improved by this new unit. Some of the things that were really important to us operationally in taking on a new system are geofencing. So that allows us to digitally map our golf course so that we can restrict access of carts going into areas that we don't want them to. That could be neighboring properties, that could be water features, it could be our greens, and more of our expensive to maintain areas. So we can map that out, and if a patron were to drive their cart across one of those areas, they would have their screen go red with a message that we would approve, and it would buzz at them. And it would also notify the golf shop, so our staff would know that a cart had made a violation and we could proceed accordingly there. That's an incredibly useful tool for us to manage a very large property from the golf shop. In line with that is a golf cart messaging. So this system would allow us to type out a custom message to any golf cart on our property. If somebody called and their wife was looking for them because there was an emergency or something, we would have the ability to reach out to that golfer through their GPS unit, or if there was a lightning storm or something like that. So that's a nice feature that would be new. Cart tracking. So this would allow us to see historical record of where cart 53, for instance, went during their course of the round. There's some really good images in the packet that was attached with this that show kind of how that works. So if there is damage on a cart on the course, or a cart drives into a tree, we can look back on it and kind of see digitally where that cart had traveled throughout its round. Another thing that we wanted to take into use to offset any cost with this is advertising capabilities. It's something that I've done at other golf courses. Is we have the opportunity in the design of the system to do ad placement, still giving the yardages to the green for all the golfers, but when they get to a certain proximity on the hole, within say 50 yards, the hole image, the map drops down, and we can have a rotating ad. So we can more than offset the cost of this quite easily by selling 9 GPS partnerships that we're looking to take on should this get approved. So that was a nice capability as well. This has been discussed with the golf committee, and I think it's been a positive reaction to the new technologies as they've been described, and allowing us to kind of protect our assets and manage our fleet in a more responsible way. The budgetary impact is these units would be on a 4-year lease at $11 per cart per month. So the first year expense with the additional one-time installation and mapping fees would be $10,360, and then it would be $9,240 for the subsequent 3 years. As I mentioned, that GPS partner program that we're looking to enlist should bring in about $15,750 in advertising income. So this will actually be a profit center for us while boosting the experience of our golfers and giving us some capabilities that we've long been coveting. So with that, I would be happy to answer any questions you have. At the end, looking for a motion and second to approve Resolution 20-09, a resolution allowing the city to enter into a lease agreement with GPS Technologies, Inc. to provide GPS units on the carts at Pebble Creek Golf Club. Does anyone have any questions?
From a layman's technology standpoint, what do you think what is the $30,000 versus $10,000? That's a huge jump. Was there just that many more features with a $30,000 unit? What is well, not unit, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, good question. The screens are typically a little bit larger. They're more centrally located on the cart as part of the enclosure, as opposed to where these mount on the left side. They do have a little bit more integration with food and beverage. So these more expensive ones would be able to interface with our food and beverage program, so people could order food directly and have it prepared. One of them had Bluetooth audio and actually television, so you could stream live sporting events from your golf cart, or Bluetooth radio or XM radio. But when they've initially priced a lot of those packages, it was really on those capabilities of the cart tracking, the mapping, and the geofencing. It just so happened a more value provider has filled those needs, but still staying in kind of that less expensive niche. So it's a nice development for us because that wasn't something that was previously available.
Are there any, what do we do with the current units that we have?
So being that we are sticking with the same company, I did ask if, obviously we own the units we have, they're kind of outdated, so I said the initial price was $12 per cart per month, and they were going to take back the existing ones, even though they even recognized they had no use for them. In further negotiations, they said, we'll honor dropping from $12 per cart per month to $11, and you can do whatever you want with the units. So we'll look to investigate if there's a secondary market option for them, but they were very nice to work with us, and over the course of the lease, dropping $1 per cart per month is, I think, a little over $7,000 in savings. So
The old ones are really worthless. They're not much good. They're not even that accurate.
right.
So is there going to be carts set up for this side of the road versus that side, or will it be, how does that work?
So they'll all work off the same unit, and it's just, you'll get the local 9 once you cross that geofencing.
Oh, okay.
So it'll, all 3 9s will be mapped appropriately, so the user gets the hole they're actually playing, but it's all triggered by where their location of the cart is.
And how the school uses the cart sometimes, then you just shut that totally off and,
Yep, you can do a number of things. You can put them, you can deactivate them for a day or a period of time, or you can, one nice thing that we can do is we can put it into ranger mode. So then it takes it from being a guest using interface to a club operator one, and it shows us the pace of play and the location of every cart in a list view. So it goes red if a cart is beyond their normal pace of play or whatever we would set. So if I just hop on a cart on a Saturday and want to check pace of play, I can switch that unit into ranger mode and then very quickly identify if there's any issues of somebody playing slower than they should. So.
For what it is, it's, actually, I think it's,
no, it's a good deal, because it's gonna save you.
for the price of it, it's not the top of the line by any means, but it definitely will do the job that we need to have done.
How close will you have it set to the greens? Because that's always a problem. It seems like the one guy wants to drive right up on top, you know, so you're gonna put them back out by the cart path. That's all the closer they'll go.
Yeah, it'll vary hole by hole depending if it's got curbed cart paths, and so that was something that Jason, our superintendent, and Ian and I will sit down and we'll actually map out where we want to put those boundaries on each hole, just as we know the flow of the course and where maybe we would want to protect certain areas as opposed to others. So that's something we'd be involved in, which is really neat.
Is that easy to update? So if you had a seasonal, so let's say we get some spring flooding, you can mark out an area for now, but obviously come July when it's dried up,
Yeah.
no longer.
No, it's really slick that way. They have it's a cart path only function. So hole 2 on the white side typically is more saturated than other areas. So we can create a pre-zoned cart path only map that would basically put the border at where the golf cart path is. And we can switch that on that morning. So if Jason came in and said, hey, it's really wet down there, we don't want any cart traffic, instead of putting ropes all the length of that par 5, we could just click a button and all of a sudden it's deployed to all our carts. And anybody who would go off the cart path, it would say cart path only on this hole, please return.
Any other questions for Josh? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, I make a motion we approve Resolution 2009, update GPS units on the new golf carts.
Second that.
Motion from Mike, second from Troy. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Josh. Industrial collection system manholes, 8 through 14 relining. Mr. Lisson. Did I make it sound interesting?
You did. It's very good. I appreciate that. It's a very exciting topic.
I just want to know who would want that job.
Hey,
I'm like, look at
Well,
I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but there's a color coding concept going on.
I just like to go
yes,
down
it's
in there.
yeah. One of the coatings is very bright. I have a sample right here, so it's
That's how thick it is too.
What? Yeah, when you look at that picture, it just,
Yeah, it doesn't show in the picture.
Well, you should probably present before we get,
Kinda neat.
yeah.
So, good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight I have an RC and a resolution for the Industrial Collection System Manhole Relining Project for 2020. So last year we did manholes 1 through 7, so starting at Liberty Paper and going out to the intersection of Sherburne Avenue and Liberty Lane. This year we are looking to do 8 through 14, so essentially the manholes that go up Sherburne Avenue between Liberty Lane and Prosperity Avenue. There's 2 manholes in Prosperity Avenue itself, and then there's 2 manholes in the field between Prosperity and then the railroad tracks along Highway 10. We do in groups of 7. That's kind of how it was done with the original coating, the Quad-X coating in the past. So we're kind of following that same route, so we kind of stay age-wise together. These 7 manholes were last refurbished in 2009 with a product called Quad-X, which is a cement-based product that's still out there. We found in inspecting our manholes that 10 years of life was probably pushing that coating's limits. We found that in probing the coating itself, it was soft, kind of peanut butter consistency. So we were probably getting at the end of the life cycle for that product. So we haven't really entertained a cement base. We're looking more at polymer base. So for example, last year, manholes 1 through 7, we used a product called Zebron, which was applied by Innovative Foundation Support Works. And then we also have a quote this year from R&H Painting, and they use the Spectre Shield product, which is the pink product that I got the example of there. We are recommending refurbishment of these manholes. One of the big reasons is we want to, keep limiting our I&I, so groundwater coming into our system, so we're not treating groundwater at wastewater facility. We also want to maintain the structural integrity of the manhole. So if that coating starts to deteriorate and is gone, it's going to start eating at the actual structure of the manhole itself. And so we want to try to prevent that, stop that before we have a failure of the manhole structure, which would be a more costly repair when that would happen. We did receive 2 quotes for the work. One is R&H Painting, and they have the Spectre Shield coating system. So it's a 3-layer system, has a final thickness of 500 mils, which you can see there with the sample. And then we also have a quote from Innovative Foundation Support Works. They have the Zebron coating, and their final coating, they do 2 layers, so they do a primer coat and then the Zebron itself. So their thickness is only 125 mils, so a little bit different application of their product. Staff are recommending R&H Painting for the quote this year. We've had Innovative do 2 projects for us now, the industrial influent wet wells, and then manholes 1 through 7 last year. And I guess I'd say we feel kind of their performance is adequate. They did the work, the job was done. I don't think anything was not done correctly, but there were a few little things along the way that we maybe wouldn't give them the A+ rating. We also have had some reviews about the Spectre Shield product from other cities. So Hutchinson has used it, Sauk Rapids, Maple Grove, and our operators did talk to some staff from Hutchinson. They've used it in areas in their industrial park, and it stood up very well to that usage, so similar to what we would have here. And then our other kind of big area why we're recommending the Spectre Shield this time would just be we'd have a live in-system comparison of the 2 products. So we'd have Zebron in 1 through 7, and we'd have Spectre Shield in 8 through 14, and we can watch them. They both have a 10-year warranty, so we can kind of watch them through their lifespan, and we can kind of see how the products stand up in the same environment, and then we can determine 10, 15 years down the road which one really is the best value for the money. So we're not going to tell that in the first couple of years, but kind of an investment or an experiment to see what investment is the best going forward. So, and these manholes won't be affected by any of the things we're doing out in the industrial park. They're going to be there for a long time carrying Liberty Papers wastewater to us, so we want to keep them in good shape. So that's our recommendation right now. We did discuss this at the Public Works Committee, and at the end they did improve the staff recommendation to go with R&H. If there are any questions about any of that, I will answer those. Otherwise, a motion and a second approving Resolution 2010 for the quoted price and not to exceed the budget amount of $80,000 would be appreciated.
What do they mean by a 10-year warranty? I get that part, but the lifespan of 100 years, what is?
Well, as Phil and I had this conversation, at that point, you're kind of, you could say it's good for 1,000 years. I mean, at that point, so Zebron, I looked up theirs too, just to see what they would say. Their expected lifespan is 75 years. So they've had manholes in Florida. That was kind of where Spectre Shield started, that were done in the 80s, and they're still in good shape. So you're getting on 20, almost 40 years. So I would say we could expect the lifespan to go much beyond the 10-year warranty. But we can see from the cement-based products that they don't last much more than about 8 years. So this is definitely a better way to go than that. So what do they mean? I mean, it's nice to hear it'll last for 100 years, but I hopefully won't be here to see that, so.
Do we typically only put these type of coatings on the industrial side, or does this go on residential as well?
You could do it in residential. I mean, they do as well. Our residential system doesn't see the kind of environment that the industrial line has seen over the years. And the other good thing is with them having the pretreatment system, that Liberty Paper, we don't see anywhere, the wastewater coming to us is much less harsh on the manhole structures. So really, once we do this, they should be good for quite a few years. So yeah, but you could do it on that side, and that's part of going into that our program with the domestic jetting. We'll be getting that this year, and we'll be inspecting all the manholes as we do that, so we can see if there are any that would need attention. We would adjust that accordingly. Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Chris?
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2010, industrial manhole refurbishing, numbers 8 through 14.
Second that.
Motion from Mike, second from Rick. Any other discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator and staff report. Moody's Investor Service Annual Comment on the City of Becker. Connie Robinson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in December, Moody's did an annual comment as they do every year. And this annual comment is done by Moody's to provide potential investors in any debt issued by the City of Becker as the likelihood of the debt to be repaid. Becker was rated A1 on the credit rating scale. The description stated that Becker has strong capability to meet its financial commitments, but is somewhat more susceptible to adverse effects of changes in circumstances and economic conditions than others in higher range categories. This means that bonds issued by Becker would be considered investment grade in the upper medium grade. This rating is favorable for Becker in that it shows Becker will be able to access credit markets at favorable interest rates at such time that bonding is required. So in other words, our borrowing costs will be lower than they would be otherwise given our credit rating. Other comments included in the report specifically call out the soundness of the city's credit position, specifically a very robust financial position, a strong wealth and income profile, and a moderately sized tax base, moderate debt burden, and somewhat inflated pension liability. So financial key indicators listed on the report point to stable and improved trends as compared to the previous report from April 6th of 18. So I just wanted to kind of give you that report, and the report is attached, or I did include it this evening. So if you have any questions, I can try and answer them.
I don't hear any.
All
So
right.
thanks, Connie.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda for February 18th. We have a hiring and termination report for the Becker Community Center, Police Department, and the election judges for this upcoming election in March and in November. Appointment of Mary Jo Cobb from the Planning Commission, personnel update with the updated wording of the policy for, is it refunding of compensatory time? Maintenance worker seasonal job description, and then also a supplemental letter agreement with SEH for the 2020 bituminous street and parking lot improvements. Remember, those are the engineering services that are needed for the upcoming street improvement project coming up this spring or summer. All right. Any questions on that?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll second that.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Payment of the bills.
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
I'll second. Motion from Troy, second from Becky. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Does council have anything else for the betterment of Becker? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion from Rick, second from Troy. Those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned 6:39.